dark secrets, twisted minds, unsolved mysteries. The world is full of stories that send shivers down your spine, cases that leave behind more questions than answers, and crimes so chilling they defy belief. Here, we dive deep into the shadows, uncovering the shocking details, the hidden motives, and the search for justice. From the infamous to the forgotten, we leave no stone unturned. Welcome to Shadowed Mysteries, where the truth is darker than fiction. Are you ready to enter the mind of a killer? Subscribe now and step into the world of true crime like never before.
What occurred while you were there?
When I was there, I saw Damien hit this one boy real bad. Then he started screwing him and stuff.
What did he hit him with?
He hit him with his fist and bruised him all up real bad. Jason turned around and hit Steve Branch.
Okay.
And he started doing the same thing. Then the other one took off. Michael Moore took off running. So I chased him and grabbed him and held him till they got there, and then I left.
Well, I was telling them, I don't know nothing about it, and they just kept on egging it on. Finally, I just said something where they'd just leave me alone. Finally, I told them, I chased them and everything and caught them and brought them back. But none of that happened. You can't kill nobody and don't leave no evidence. You can't do it. I don't care who you are, you cannot do that. There was no blood, no fingerprints, no nothing at the crime scene. You just can't kill nobody like that. I don't care if you're a genius or nothing. You just can't do that.
Inspector Gitchell, let's talk about the things that Jessie told you that are just absolutely incorrect. Now, on page 9 of his statement, Inspector Gitchell, Jessie says that the murders took place around noon. How did you know that was incorrect?
Because the young boys were still in school.
Did at any time when he was telling you these things that you knew were incorrect, did it ever occur to you that what he was telling you was false? His entire story was false?
Jessie simply got confused.
This is a classic example of how police can produce a false confession. They threaten Jessie, they tell him that he knows things that they know he knows, they use the polygraph, they tell him that he's flunked the polygraph when he didn't. They use that to convince him that his situation is hopeless. They upset him enormously by showing him these horrible photographs of these dead children. And then they give him the option of being with the bad guys with the consequences of that, or joining the police. And at this point, all he wants to do is get out from under the pressure. So now all he has to do is agree with what they tell him, and that's how they set it up. Initially, they're going for a false witness statement. But once they have him talking, it's not difficult to get him to agree to things that will make him appear to be a participant in the crime.
Welcome back to Shadowed Mysteries, where we explore some of history's most gripping true crime stories. Today, we're diving into one of the most controversial cases in American legal history, the story of the West Memphis Three. In 1993, 3 teenagers, Damien Echols, Jason Baldwin, and Jessie Misskelley Jr., were convicted of brutally murdering 3 young boys in West Memphis, Arkansas. But was justice truly served? Or were these teens wrongfully imprisoned for a crime they didn't commit? So grab your coffee, turn off the lights, and let's uncover this haunting tale of tragedy, doubt, and redemption.
To truly understand this case, we need to step back to West Memphis, Arkansas in the early 1990s, a small town steeped in poverty, superstition, and fear. The area was deeply religious, with evangelical Christianity playing a central role in daily life. Rumors of satanic cults and devil worship circulated widely, fueled by sensationalized media reports and moral panic about heavy metal music, Dungeons and Dragons, and anything perceived as unholy. It was a time when conformity was prized, and deviation from social norms could make someone a target of suspicion. On May 5th, 1993, the bodies of 3 8-year-old boys, Stephen Branch, Christopher Byers, and Michael Moore, were discovered in a wooded area near a creek. The boys had been stripped naked, hogtied with their own shoelaces, and beaten to death. One of them, Christopher Byers, had also been castrated. The brutality of the murders shocked the nation, but it was the location that added to the horror. The dense, swampy woods known as Robin Hood Hills, a place already associated with local legends of witchcraft and evil spirits. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community, sparking fear and outrage. Authorities vowed to find the killers, and quickly. Little did anyone know, this case would become one of the most polarizing criminal investigations in modern history. The investigation zeroed in on 3 teenagers, Damien Echols, Jason Baldwin, and Jessie Misskelley Jr., who were labeled as outcasts due to their interest in heavy metal music, the occult, and alternative lifestyles. Damien, the eldest of the group, was particularly targeted. He dressed in black, read books on Wicca and philosophy, and openly rejected traditional Christian values. To many in West Memphis, he embodied everything they feared: darkness, rebellion, and the unknown. Jason and Jessie were quieter, but their association with Damien made them guilty by association. Jessie Misskelley, who had a low IQ and was only 17 at the time, became the focal point of the investigation after hours of intense interrogation without a lawyer present. Detectives leaned heavily on him, using tactics designed to extract a confession. Under immense pressure, Jessie admitted to witnessing the murders and implicated Damien and Jason as the perpetrators. However, his confession was riddled with inconsistencies. It contradicted key details of the crime, such as the time of death and the sequence of events. For example, Jessie claimed the murders happened in the morning, while forensic evidence suggested they occurred in the afternoon or evening. Despite its flaws, the confession became the cornerstone of the prosecution's case, sealing the fates of all 3 teens. The trial began in 1994, drawing national attention. Prosecutors painted Damien, Jason, and Jessie as Satanists who committed the murders as part of a ritual sacrifice, a theory based largely on circumstantial evidence and societal prejudice against their interests. They pointed to Damien's fascination with witchcraft and heavy metal music as proof of his alleged involvement, ignoring the lack of physical evidence tying him or the others to the crime scene. Witnesses testified about seeing Damien in black clothing or hearing him talk about Aleister Crowley, a famous occultist, but none of this directly linked him to the murders. Defense attorneys argued that there was no credible forensic evidence linking the teens to the murders. They highlighted the inconsistencies in Jessie's coerced confession and questioned why investigators failed to thoroughly explore other potential suspects. Yet, despite their efforts, the jury sided with the prosecution. Damien was sentenced to death, while Jason and Jessie received life sentences. For many observers, it seemed like a verdict driven more by fear and bias than facts. Almost immediately, doubts about the verdict emerged. Supporters of the West Memphis Three argued that the case was built on shaky evidence, coerced confessions, and bias against the teens' unconventional lifestyles. Over the years, new evidence surfaced that cast further doubt on their guilt. DNA testing conducted years later excluded Damien, Jason, and Jessie as contributors to genetic material found at the crime scene. Suspicion shifted to other individuals, particularly Terry Hobbs, the stepfather of one of the victims. Witnesses reported seeing Hobbs acting strangely around the time of the murders, and DNA from a hair found on one of the victim's shoelaces matched Hobbs' niece. Yet, law enforcement refused to reopen the case, leaving many questions unanswered. The case captured the attention of celebrities, filmmakers, and activists, sparking a global movement to free the West Memphis Three. Documentaries like Paradise Lost, directed by Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky, brought widespread awareness to the injustices surrounding the case, exposing the systemic flaws and prejudices that led to their convictions. These films revealed how the prosecution relied on junk science, unreliable witness testimony, and societal fears to secure a conviction. Thousands of supporters rallied behind the teens, demanding a retrial or exoneration. Celebrities like Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam, Johnny Depp, and Henry Rollins joined the cause, amplifying the call for justice. After nearly 2 decades in prison, a breakthrough came in 2011 when the Arkansas Supreme Court allowed the trio to enter an Alford plea, which permitted them to maintain their innocence while acknowledging that prosecutors had enough evidence to convict them. As part of the plea deal, Damien, Jason, and Jessie were released from prison, but not declared innocent. Their freedom came at a cost. They had to plead guilty to crimes they swore they didn't commit. After their release, Damien, Jason, and Jessie struggled to adjust to life outside prison. While they were finally free, the Alford plea meant they couldn't fully clear their names. Damien moved to New York City, married actress Lori Davis, who had been instrumental in advocating for his release, and became an advocate for criminal justice reform. He wrote books, gave interviews, and used his platform to raise awareness about wrongful convictions. His memoir, Life After Death, detailed his harrowing experiences on death row and his determination to survive despite overwhelming odds. Jason focused on rebuilding his life quietly, working odd jobs and reconnecting with family. Jessie remained wary of public attention, preferring to stay out of the spotlight. Despite their newfound freedom, the scars of their ordeal lingered. They had lost decades of their lives, and the stigma of being labeled murderers still haunted them. Even today, they continue to fight for full exoneration, hoping to prove once and for all that they are innocent. The West Memphis Three case remains a stark reminder of how prejudice, lack of evidence, and societal fear can lead to grave miscarriages of justice. It also highlights the importance of perseverance and advocacy in fighting for truth. While many believe the real killer has yet to be found, the case has left an indelible mark on the true crime genre and the broader conversation about fairness in the legal system. It raises important questions about the reliability of confessions, the role of media in shaping public opinion, and the dangers of convicting people based on stereotypes rather than facts. One of the most troubling aspects of the case is the way it reflects larger issues within the justice system. False confessions, especially among vulnerable populations like juveniles or individuals with intellectual disabilities, remain a significant problem. Studies show that false confessions occur in up to 25% of wrongful conviction cases, often due to coercive interrogation techniques. The West Memphis Three case serves as a chilling example of what happens when law enforcement focuses on a suspect too early in an investigation, ignoring alternative leads and allowing bias to cloud judgment. It also underscores the power of grassroots movements and advocacy in bringing attention to injustice. Without the tireless efforts of supporters, filmmakers, and activists, Damien, Jason, and Jessie might still be in prison today. So what do you think? Were the West Memphis Three innocent victims of a flawed justice system, or were they involved in the murders? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your theories. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more true crime stories. Until next time, stay curious, but stay safe.